Now, Covington students, you've been hearing a lot about this all day long. All day long. But there are certain media outlets who will not let up. They want to continue to push a lie, a narrative, which is utterly and completely dishonest. That these white Catholic kids from Kentucky, wearing MAGA hats, who were standing at the Lincoln Memorial, waiting for their buses to take them home after the March for Life, that they're a bunch of racists and bigots, that they were looking to violently confront American Indians, older gentlemen, a handful of them. Before that, they were looking to violently confront a handful of African Americans. None of that was true. None of it. But they're not done. As reported in the Washington Examiner by Beckett Adams, certain newsrooms are in bargaining mode over the Covington Catholic fiasco. The narrative alleging that an elderly Native American man was harassed this weekend by a group of racist white high school students at the March for Life has fallen apart, leaving some news organizations scrounging for whatever they can to justify inciting an online riot to form against a group of Kentucky teenagers. These are kids. The American Indians were adults. What do they call themselves? Black Hebrew Israelites? Adults. These are 15, 14, 16-year-old kids who probably never confronted anything like this. So then we have the New York Daily News, which is a rag, has been a rag for a long time. The New York Daily News, and by the way, I would just correct Beckett Adams slightly here. He has all the points here that they were white, they were Catholic, they were there for the March for Life, but they also were pro-Trump, and of course that really triggers the media. The New York Daily News has, for example, published a story this week accusing Covington Catholic students of donning blackface for a high school sporting event. Blackface. The Daily News seems to have misidentified the year of the photo, which likely comes from 2012. The photo depicts several white students, some in blackface, shouting at an opposing black player, the report said. While the photo's origins couldn't be verified, the official Covington Catholic High School YouTube account published a video last January boasting its basketball school spirit, and several clips, including one from 2012, showcase attendees chanting in blackface, a mockery of the opposing players, writes the Daily News. The video was removed Monday from the Kentucky school's YouTube page. By the way, this Kentucky school has not comported itself with any high standard or principle whatsoever. It has cowered and buckled out of every whisper. The full-body black paint worn by the students in the school's official video closely resembles that of the students in the photo being circulated on social media. The Daily News report continues, going full Zapruder. One student from the photo, not in blackface, is sporting a logo that also mirrors the Covington emblem. It added in reference to the most visible team from the March for Life video from this weekend, this won't help Kentucky student Nick Sandman's case. That's the kid who the left-wing activist American Indian was confronting and banging his drum in the kid's ear. Okay, a few things here, says Adams. First, to suggest that the students were doing some sort of minstrel show in mockery of an opposing team seems like a stretch, put it mildly. As many others have noted, the Covington photos clearly depict a blackout game, where attendees are encouraged to dress completely in a single color in support of their team. The photo shows everyone clad in black. It also shows that some students had painted their entire bodies, not just their faces, in black. Either these kids went all out to promote the designated color for the specific game, or they publicly targeted an opposing team with extremely racist antics. Could be that the Covington teens in this photo engaged in extremely racist behavior, but let's maybe wait until someone can confirm that that's exactly what happened before we accuse them of worse. Well, now we know that's exactly not what happened. It was a blackout day, as they call it. They also have whiteout days, too, by the way. Secondly, what does the New York Daily News mean by this won't help Kentucky student Nick Sandmann's case? There is no case. Sandmann maintains that he did not harass or abuse an elderly Native American in the nation's capital, and the video bears him out. How does a photo from 2012 dispute his claim? Sandmann was in elementary school at the time that the Covington basketball photo was taken. Is the Daily News suggesting that because some students may have behaved badly in the past, and they didn't, it was a blackout day anyway, then Sandmann probably behaved badly too? That's some solid reasoning. Lastly, let's recognize the Daily News report for what it is. A newsroom is looking for something after the fact to justify its earlier rush to paint the Covington teens as monsters. The narrative alleging that Covington students bullied a Native American protester was based on a single, incomplete video. It turned out almost immediately to be bogus. But rather than admit error, some are making the not-so-subtle attempt to prove that Covington is a bad school, and therefore the MAGA hat-wearing teens from this weekend are also bad people, and therefore it's okay to gang up on them and bully them. And by the way, some of these left-wing nuts on the internet tracked down their addresses, put them out, told people to go to their homes, told people to contact the employers or their parents. Some even suggested that these kids be harmed and even killed. Stand-up comedian Jeremy McClellan explains the motivation behind the Daily News' lousy follow-up reporting best. We have now reached the bargaining phase of the 5 stages of grief that you shared in an internet hoax, which is when you pivot the smaller allegations in an attempt to justify the original mob. The smartest ones drop truth altogether and pivot to the larger context, he writes. What every single one of these bargains has in common is it pivots the discussion away from the original false allegation that sparked the internet mob. Please, let's agree they are bad. But if it's not about the original claim, then it's bargaining. He adds, psychologically, it makes you feel better about having unjustly attacked someone. Well, if he was bad anyway, or he did something else that was bad, or was simply from a bad group, what's the harm, right? Most people think this way. It feels good. Meanwhile, our souls rot. And the reason why you're furious is because this was an absolute lie. It involved these young teenagers. We know why they were targeted. And the media was very excited about it and participated in the propaganda. And what it did is expose the hatred the media has on so many levels for you and me and kids like this. Objective my you-know-what. And this followed on the heels of the phony BuzzFeed story, where the media will take anything, use anything, to try and destroy our president and his family. Just as they would use anything to try and destroy a Supreme Court nominee, Kavanaugh. A man who's lived a stellar life. A man who is religious, also Catholic. Seems like the Democrats and the media really have it out for the Catholics and the Jews, doesn't it? Anti-Semitism is growing. The attacks on Catholics is growing. You know who used to do that? Still does. The Klan.
Mark Levin.